Hello, and welcome to today's episode on creating amazing new ideas for stories using morphological analysis. Okay, so don't let the term put you off. Morphological analysis isn't as scary as it might sound. It can help you make interesting new connections between seemingly unrelated things, and those connections can result in stories that no one saw coming. I'm thinking Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. The morphological analysis we're looking at shouldn't be confused with linguistic morphological analysis, which is a way of analysing words and the changes they undergo through time. No, we're going to be using morphological analysis, the version created by Swiss astronomer Fritz Zwicky. He did that in the 1940s to stimulate innovation and creativity. I've used the tool with clients as part of my story development package, and I thought it'd be useful to share it with you. Let's begin. Hi, I'm Stuart Wakefield, an Author Accelerator certified book coach and writer. With 26 years in theatre, broadcast media, and coaching under my belt, I know what makes stories work. And I love to share that with other writers because the world of storytelling is like the ocean. It's deep, it's mysterious, and it's a little scary to those who don't know how to navigate it. And with so much left to luck and timing, it's my mission to give great books the best chance of getting into readers' hands. In each episode, I'll share tips and plans of action that will help you write, edit, and publish your book. If you're new to writing or consciously working to improve your craft, then this is the podcast for you. Here's a little background before I talk you through how we can use morphological analysis to create brilliant new ideas for brilliant fresh stories. Many moons ago, when I worked at Ford Motor Company and later what is now Warner Brothers Discovery, I ran innovation workshops, and morphological analysis was one tool I used with my students. Of all the innovation tools I used, it was morphological analysis that stuck with me because it's great for writers. Back then, it was all about problem statements, functions, morphologies, but what stood out to me was the term dimensions, because stories have dimensions. They have genre, character, style, structure, content, and so on. Okay, so let's look at morphological analysis in action. What if is arguably the most powerful question a writer can ask. What if can also help you come up with plot points, twists, and many other things that your story might need. For example, what if your main character can only be helped by the world's wisest person, but that person is recently reincarnated, is still a baby, and can't yet speak? What does your main character do? Do they wait around for 12 to 18 months? Let's look at a romance example, simply because there are so many juicy tropes we can delve into. So make a list of settings. So for this example, I'm going to jot down remote, as in cabin in the woods, mansion by a lake. I'm going to jot down workplace, desert island, and ancient Rome. Then I'm going to make a list of subgenres. I'm going to list paranormal, historical, romantic suspense, contemporary, sports, and romantic comedy. Okay, so as I'm making my lists, I'm already taken by paranormal. So I'm going to make a list of the kinds of paranormal fantasy characters I immediately think of. So I'm going to write ghosts, demons, vampires, werewolves, and mermen. Now I'm going to place the list side by side, ideally in a spreadsheet or in a grid. And I've just created a multi-dimensional matrix or Zwicky box. So looking at that Zwicky box, that allows us to look for creative combinations. Now let's make some connections. So a woman falls in love with a ghost while she's staying in a remote mansion by a lake. It's okay, but it kind of seems familiar. Let's connect some other things together. A man falls in love with a vampire who by daylight has to hide under the wreckage of their upturned boat after it ran aground on a desert island. Well, okay, that's kind of okay, but as soon as night falls, someone's coconuts are up for grabs, so there's not enough conflict for me. But here's what caught my eye. So werewolves and the workplace. So how about two companies, each one staffed by rival wolf packs? They end up in the same location for team building weeks, and the CEOs, both literally alpha males, decide to get all competitive and pit company against company. And as luck would have it, the ultimate challenge falls during a full moon. It's a start, but yeah, that's kind of where my mind went after I made those connections. So I kind of like the workplace concept. So we can make another list of workplace romance tropes. So for this, I'm going to do hot for supervisor, against company policy, and problematic pairing. Problematic pairing is a trope that I really like. So for example, it could be two police officers who work together. Okay, but I mean, that's only 3 workplace romance tropes, but I've already connected with hot for supervisor. So I'm wondering if that could be a love triangle. So a werewolf personal assistant with their hots for their alpha male CEO, but it's now lusting after hairy Henry in the rival company's accounting team following a hot and sweaty paintballing face-off. Maybe. Okay, let's go back to our lists. So let's look at something else. So a sports romance in ancient Rome, where the burgeoning romance of 2 star-crossed Olympic athletes is thrown into disarray when they're possessed by 2 equally star-crossed demons who've escaped Tartarus and gone on the run. Okay, that could work, but it's not really grabbing me. Okay, so let's go back to our werewolf workplace thing. So you can make connections between the same lists too. So that workplace setting could be in a romance mansion on a lake. So perhaps it's a strategic planning retreat. The main character suddenly sees their colleague in a new light now that he's finally out of that stuffy suit and tie. And being hot for your supervisor can also be against company policy. So there's some real things that we can build on with these connections. And actually going into this list building, I had no idea that I would be talking about werewolves in the office on a retreat. So that just goes to show you how this kind of morphological analysis can help you make these new connections. Before I wrap up, I invite you to do all the usual stuff like, review, share and subscribe. But better than all of that, come and visit me at thebookcoach.co. Sign up for my free self-editing guide and take a look at the services I provide, but there's tons of free useful stuff on my blog too. Now, if you've had any problems visualizing what I'm talking about, I have a blog post that goes with this episode, and in that there are plenty of diagrams. So I'll put a link in the show notes. But in summary, morphological analysis can be hugely useful when you're exploring new ideas. It can help you unblock when you are stuck. It can nudge you towards a different way of thinking. Plus, as I hope you've seen, it's just a lot of fun. So how about you? Which list will you make? And what new and interesting connections will you come up with? Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day, and well done for investing some time in your own writing life. And yes, this podcast is about writing, but I'm here for you, not just your story.